Alright guys, so in the last section we looked at object-oriented programming in JavaScript. We looked at both the ES5 syntax with constructors and prototypes, and we also looked at ES6 classes. So what I want to do now is build a little project using everything that we learned in that section, and we're going to first build this application with ES5's prototype syntax, and then we're going to reformat it to use ES6 classes. So that way you can see the same exact application built both ways and you can kind of compare. Alright, now under the hood everything's going to be the same. You'll see if we look in the console at the prototype functions, those will be the same whether we're using ES5 or ES6. So quick demo, it's just a really simple application. Everything just happens in the UI. There's obviously no database or anything like that. So we'll go ahead and add a book title. Let's say book 1. We'll add an author and an ISBN number and submit. And you see we get a little alert here. That should disappear after 3 seconds. And then we have our book added to the table down here. So let's add another one. We'll say book 2, author. We'll just say Tom Smith, ISBN, submit, and it gets added to the table. Alright, now if I try to submit without filling in the fields, we're going to get an error here. That also will disappear in 3 seconds, and then we can also delete books as well. Alright, so very simple application, but it'll show you how to actually build something with object-oriented programming in vanilla JavaScript. That's something you don't really see around tutorials on the web. You see, class dog, and they show you how to create a class and all that, kind of like we just did, but not actually give you a working project. So that's what we're going to do in this section. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. First thing we're going to do is create our UI. So let's create a folder here, and I'm just going to call this book list. And inside book list, actually, you know what? We'll just open this up with Visual Studio Code. And we'll snap that to the side here. And let's go ahead and create a new file called index.html. Now, this is actually going to have 2 JavaScript files. One is going to be the ES5 version, one will be the ES6. So I'm going to have app.js, and then let's create another one called app ES6.js, and that's the one we'll work on after. Alright, so app.js will be the initial ES5 version. So let's open up our HTML. Let's close this up. And we're just going to put some basic HTML head body tags. I'm going to use Emmet, so I'm going to put an exclamation and hit tab. And for the title here, let's just say book list. And we're going to have a little bit of custom styling for the alerts, but nothing big. So we're going to put that in the head. We won't create a separate CSS file. We do want to link skeleton CSS though. So let's search for skeleton CDN. And we're going to grab it from cdnjs.com. So right here, if we say copy link tag, and then just throw that in the head. Okay, and then in the body, we're just going to have a container. And inside the container, we'll have an h1. We'll say add book. And then under the h1, we're going to have a form. Form's going to have an ID of book-form. Alright, we don't need an action. Can get rid of that. And then inside the form, each field will be wrapped in a div. So we'll have a label. We'll say label for title. And then under that, we'll have an input. And this input will have an ID of title. I'm also going to give it a class of u-full-width, which is a skeleton class to make it a block level input that'll go all the way across. Okay, so that's our first div with our label and input. I'm just going to copy that, and we're going to paste it in 2 more times. Okay, the second one will be the author. So we'll change the for attribute here to author, change the ID to author. And then this one here will be the ISBN. Change the the ID. And let's save. And then I'm just going to open this with live server. If you don't have live server installed and you want it, if you're using VS Code, you can just search for live server and just go ahead and install it. All right, once you do that, you can right click and say open with live server, but that's completely optional. All right, so there's our form, very, very simple. Under the form, we're going to put an HR, and then we want a table. All right, so we're going to put a table. Let's also give this a class of u-full width. That'll make it stretch across the whole screen. And then we want a t-head, table head tag, and a tr, which is a table row. And then we want some table headings. So we'll have title. Let's do title, let's do author, let's do ISBN, and then this last one will stay empty because that's where the little delete link is going to go. All right, now under the T head, we're going to have the T body. Okay, now nothing's going to go inside here. This is where we're going to dynamically insert our rows, but we do need to have an identifier on this T body. So I'm going to call this book-list. Okay, and then we just want to go right above the body tag, put in our script. Whoop. And we want to point to app.js. Okay, and that's our entire structure. Very, very simple. Now while we're here, we might as well add the classes for the alerts. So up here, let's just put a style tag. And inside here, we're going to have basically a success and an error class. So let's say .success. So both of these will share some styles. So I'm going to put just success and error. And we're going to add color of the text, which will be white. We're going to add padding of 5 pixels. And we're going to add margin, which will be 5 pixels, 0, 15, and 0. Okay, so 5 on the top, 15 on the bottom. All right, so let's see. We also want specific colors for success and error. So success will have a background of green. And then error will have a background of red. And there we go. Now one thing I just noticed is that we don't have a submit button. I mean, this will still work if you just want to hit enter, but I think we should put a submit button. So let's put a div right here. And let's say input. It's going to have a type of submit. And the value will be submit. All right, let's also add a class of u-full width. All right, so there's our UI. You know what, let's take away that HR. We don't really need that. There we go, that looks better. Okay, so our UI is done. In the next video, we're going to start on our app.js file, and we're going to start to create our JavaScript.